Complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said.
Describing how Combs allegedly used lies, drugs, threats, violence to threaten and coerce women to have sex in front of male courts.
Questioning about Combs' drug habits, if he was a high-functioning addict. When asked what Combs was addicted to, Ventura's response was success.
It appears that Brandy Norwood is now sharing the contents of the final note Whitney Houston ever gave her after a 12-year quiet.
Believe that Whitney Houston
I wanna run to you.
figured out they were trying to.
Furthermore, the timing is extremely odd, not even when gossip about Whitney's last days, drug use, dodgy parties, and the influential guys behind the scenes.
I can believe what you feel. I can believe that. But do you really know?
Erupted. These days, Clive Davis's name is making headlines again because Diddy's trial exposed some of the same industry players. What exactly is she discussing then? Let us begin. The world was shocked to learn about Whitney Houston's death on February 11th, 2012. Her name connotes unadulterated talent and legendary triumph. The question is, however, did she anticipate it? As it happens, Brandy may know the solution.
And we were all getting ready for the Clive Grammy party, yes. And I was in my room.
She gave Brandy a note just hours before Whitney passed away. Nobody knew what was in it for years. All that was known was that Brandy was surprised when she received it. However, she kept what Whitney wrote to herself. So far, the contents of that note have finally been made public by Brandy. What does it say, too? It might alter our perception of Whitney's last hours. There were indications of exhaustion in Whitney's final hours, emotionally as well as physically. It sounded like a silent call for assistance. What she was so sick of, though, is the crucial question. And why did she decide to deliver that parting message to Brandy just before she passed away? The night of Whitney Houston's death, the renowned music producer Clive Davis, who found her and helped make her famous, was there at the same pre-Grammy celebration. People have pondered their relationship and whether Whitney was under more pressure from Clive's relentless drive for achievement over the years.
She would go ahead and do it. She was having difficulty stopping.
We are all aware of Whitney's battles with addiction and the pressures of celebrity. Is there more to the story, though? Some people think Whitney knew something was going to happen because of the note she handed Brandy. The people closest to her, including Clive Davis, are blamed for ideas that even hint at something worse, possibly even foul play. What actually transpired with Whitney Houston? Let us dissect it. The music business was stunned by new information that surfaced after her death, particularly about Clive Davis and what he might have benefited from Whitney's murder. At that point, the death clause became a topic of discussion. Some music contracts contain this clause, which is also referred to as a non-performance clause. The reason it is kept so quiet is good. In essence, it states that a label can still profit from an artist's name, music, and other associated properties after their death, sometimes even more than they might have while they were still living. It is an unsettling notion, and the concerns became more pressing as individuals began to make connections between Whitney's passing, her note to Brandy, and the money machine that was behind her. Things get a little dodgy when record labels find a method to make money even when an artist passes away unexpectedly. Some contracts have a clause known as a death clause, which, although most fans are unaware of it, enables record labels to continue profiting greatly from the artist's name, music, and legacy, in addition to receiving their original investment back. In essence, this is how it operates. It almost sounds like something from a gloomy film, and that is precisely why Whitney's passing bothers certain people. Thus, the discussion surrounding Whitney Houston's passing changed once further when fans became aware of this clause. How involved was Clive Davis in all of this? People started to wonder. Clive was the driving force behind Whitney's success. Not just any producer, he developed her reputation and molded her career. However, others are now questioning whether her untimely demise also benefited him. Although there is not any concrete evidence that Clive Davis was directly involved in any dubious application of the death clause, the issues still remain. Indeed, more insiders and artists are beginning to come forward, and the reports do not seem promising. Jaguar Wright is among the most vocal critics. She asserted in a recent interview that Clive pushed for a daring comeback in 2009 because he realized he was losing control of Whitney. Jaguar Wright also discussed her own idea regarding the actual cause of Whitney Houston's death. She discusses what she thinks happened that night in a video that is making the rounds online, and it differs greatly from the official account. Whitney had found something dangerous, she said, something severe. Jaguar thinks that is why Whitney, in front of cameras on the red carpet, gave Brandy a note shortly before she passed away. According to Jaguar, the note contained crucial details concerning Whitney's discoveries. She also claims that she became afraid when Brandy read it.
Brandy read the note, got scared, and went back and told her brother Ray J.
Jaguar continued by saying that Brandy informed her brother Ray J, who was allegedly seeing Whitney at the time, after she had read the note. Jaguar claims that Ray J then informed Diddy of this information. Diddy allegedly shared what he had discovered with music boss Clive Davis after that. However, it does not end there. According to Jaguar, things became gloomy. She claims that Ray J was instructed by Diddy to enter Whitney's hotel room and assist her in unwinding. Jaguar thinks Diddy entered the room and completed the job personally once she was at ease, implying that he was directly responsible for Whitney's demise.
It was Diddy that came to that room and did the job himself.
Jaguar further asserted that Ray J was detained at the hotel for hours after everything occurred and was not let to leave. She claimed that when Diddy later appeared, he acted as though he was there to console Whitney and her loved ones. The Grammy Awards had brought the music industry together in Los Angeles on that same day. Whitney Houston had arrived at the Beverly Hilton Hotel with her loved ones. Her longtime mentor, Clive Davis, was scheduled to throw his customary pre-Grammy celebration at the hotel as usual. While the celebration was being planned, Whitney's helper, Mary Jones, put a dress on the bed for her before leaving. Something went horribly wrong in that little period. Upon her return, Jones saw Whitney lying face down in a water-filled bathtub. It was not until the coroner's report provided some clarification as to what had transpired during those brief minutes. At 3:55 p.m., Whitney was tragically declared dead at the scene. Police discovered an open bottle of champagne and a spoon containing a white, crystal-like substance close to Whitney Houston during the course of their inquiry into her death. Additionally, the autopsy revealed that she was taking a number of medications, such as an antidepressant, a muscle relaxant, and an allergy medication. A few weeks later, the coroner's report verified that she died from heart disease, and after using the potent and harmful drug C years later, Diddy is in major legal hot water, and it is noteworthy to note that the use of D's is also a factor in his case. He apparently used them himself, but that is not all. There have been allegations that he coerced other rappers into using them as well. That is only one of the numerous things for which he is currently facing legal consequences.
Describing how Combs allegedly used lies, drugs, threats, violence to threaten and coerce women to have sex in front of male courts.
It was recently connected to Diddy in a lawsuit brought by Rodney Jones, Diddy's former music producer. The butler, chef, and housekeepers, among others, were allegedly forced to walk about with a pouch or fanny pack stocked with CGHB Ecstasy M candies, 100, 250 milliliter muggies apiece, and Tucci, a pink D that is a combination of ecstasy and C, according to his allegations. According to the lawsuit, Diddy preferred a drug called Pink C, 2CB, or 2C. This chemical is a combination of ecstasy and phenylethylamine, 2CB.
Morning, George. It happened here at 3:43 yesterday afternoon when a member of Houston's entourage located her body inside this hotel. So far, police and the coroner are refusing.
Diddy's excessive use of potent, harmful narcotics during his so-called freak-offs is currently one of the main causes for concern. Many people are beginning to understand what may have happened in those separate bedrooms and behind closed doors as more information becomes available. The unsettling reality is that these drugs may have been a major factor. One of the most vocal people on this topic has been Jaguar Wright. She publicly asserted that given the accounts given by his purported victims, Diddy most likely used this kind of D. She claims that the D is so potent that it can render a person entirely numb on both a mental and bodily level. She thinks this is the reason why so many of his victims are unable to recall specific details of their experiences.
I've been saying it.
Yeah.
How many times I got
People are now beginning to doubt the long-standing friendship between Diddy and Clive Davis as a result of everything coming to light. Many people think that the two, who have been connected for decades, have similar sinister ambitions, including a connection to the use of D's. The theories become much more unsettling at that point. Some speculate that Clive might have contributed to Whitney's addiction with Diddy's assistance. They may have used her and exposed her to harmful narcotics during one of their high-profile parties, when anything may occur behind the scenes. This argument suggests that she may have died as a result of an overdose during one of these incidents. Though terrifying, the idea is becoming more popular as more people start to make the connections. It appeared that Clive Davis began to separate himself from Diddy after his recent imprisonment. Diddy was allegedly on the guest list for Clive's well-known pre-Grammy party, despite the fact that he was already under a lot of pressure due to SA claims made by multiple women prior to the lawsuit. It is said that Puffy is treated like a VIP there, receiving invitations without any questions. Here's the intriguing bit though. Someone noticed that Diddy was not as prominent as he used to be in the 2024 digital invitation for the party. He was the star in 3 glitzy pictures the previous year. He only made a brief appearance in 2024, behind Jay-Z and Beyonce from the 2020 celebration where he was recognized. Additionally, sources say that Diddy may have been involved in Whitney's addiction, because this is the only response we have so far, considering the background of Cassie's testimony. Additionally, Whitney was discovered overdosing in the hotel room, according to the autopsy report. Additionally, it appears from Cassie's testimony that Diddy was also overdosing at the time. He took a fairly potent narcotic that evening, she claimed. We took him to the hospital since we had no idea what was going on. After selling millions of CDs, the singer was now in dire need of $100 handouts from friends and family. Many questioned where she spent all of her money. Her record label no longer saw her as an advantage, but as a burden. Deep Throat sources claim that Clive and his associates believed that the singer's death was the only way to turn a profit once more. They anticipated a sudden rush for Whitney's CDs as soon as the public learned of the singer's passing, and their sympathies would be aroused. They thought that by increasing album sales, they would be able to recover all of the money they had spent on the Bodyguard actress. Davis allegedly made the decision to discipline Chaka Khan, the person who started the backlash after the entire affair tarnished his reputation. Whitney made a comeback with her album I Look to You, following years of struggling with drugs and a highly publicized, tumultuous divorce. In the first week alone, it sold over 3,000 copies, making it her greatest debut to date and returning her to the top of the charts. There is a song on the record called I Did Not Know My Own Strength, and it really speaks for Whitney. Clive said at the time, praising her, she fell, yet she did not fall apart. However, things were not as bright behind the scenes. After that, on the night of Whitney's death, February 11th, Clive had his yearly pre-Grammy party, even though he referred to her as his friend and lifelong mentor. The Beverly Hilton Hotel, where Whitney's lifeless body was still upstairs, served as the venue for the gathering. Her body was not even taken out until after midnight, at approximately 12:45 in the morning. The celebration continued. Chaka Khan clarified this occurrence when Clive took the stage and spoke at the start of the event. She chastised Clive Davis for throwing a party at the Beverly Hilton only a few hours after Whitney Houston's untimely death. Khan referred to Davis's choice as total craziness in an interview on CNN's Piers Morgan Tonight, expressing shock and displeasure.
Complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said.
In her frank comments, Khan discussed Whitney Houston's personality and implied that she would not have wanted the performance to continue in those conditions, given the significant influence Davis had on Houston's life and career. Khan's criticism emphasized how insensitive it was to have the event in the same building where Houston had died.
Let's go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not gonna be.
However, when Diddy's trial began, her death even took a tragic turn. Cassie recently concluded 2 days of emotionally charged evidence in court, describing the physical, sexual, and psychological abuse she claims Diddy inflicted on her. When Diddy's attorney, Anna Estevao, attempted to change the subject during cross-examination, the situation became even more heated. Estevao cited a February 2012 incident in which he said Diddy took too many painkillers. Yeah, Cassie replied when she asked whether she remembered that. Around the time of Whitney Houston's death, she put it there.
Questioning about Combs' drug habits, if he was a high-functioning addict. When asked what Combs was addicted to, Ventura's response was success.
According to Cassie, they went to a San Bernardino S club that night as part of one of those crazy freak-offs. Cassie claimed that although Diddy reportedly hosted a party at the Playboy Mansion later, she left and went home. However, that is what attracted the attention of internet users, who reportedly discovered a clue to connect the dots and came to the conclusion that Diddy and Clive Davis may have both planned Whitney's murder. That concludes today. I will see you in the upcoming video. Goodbye until then,